Colleagues, I rise to give my no vote explanation to the disapproval of the appointment of Anna Mitterling to the Natural Resources Commission. Colleagues, in these insane days, and this day does seem to be insane right now, I try to look back at the history of this body for guidance. Ken Sikkema, the former Senate Majority Leader who served before term limits, put out a statement earlier this year about the history of advice and consent. His statement is, it's not about trying to reject people that you disagree with ideologically, because the governor has a right to appoint the people that are ideologically and philosophically and politically compatible with her. It's more about, do these people have the basic competence? Is there anything in their background that would disqualify them from this high level of service? Colleagues, on your desk is Anna's resume. I hope you've all taken the time to actually read it. I am going to give you some highlights while I'm up here today. She has a master's degree from Michigan State University in fisheries and wildlife. She will literally be the first person ever appointed to this commission who is an actual scientist when it comes to these issues. As one member of the other side of the aisle pointed out to me earlier today, she is actually overqualified for this position. She has a bachelor's degree in recreation and natural resources, focusing on zoology, chemistry, ecology, plant taxonomy, stream ecology, anatomy and physiology, statistics, physics, communications, consumer relations, management, leadership, organizational behavior, marketing, microcomputers, cross-cultural study in Guatemala. She is certainly extremely qualified when it comes to an educational background. No one can get up from the other side of the aisle and stand up and say that she isn't. So let's look at her professional background. Well, she's an adjunct professor at Lansing Community College teaching environmental science. So she actually teaches people environmental science for a living. She worked in the Wildlife Cooperative Coordinator for the Michigan United Conservation Clubs. She was part of the Great Lakes Leadership Academy. She was a watershed technician in the Ingham Conservation District. Again, it would be hard to argue that her history does not show that she's qualified. What about her own personal volunteer work? She's volunteered as a DNR disease lab CWD testing technician. She is a technical director at Journey Life Church. She's an advisor at Blandford Nature Center Deer Hunt. She's a hunter. If you went to her Instagram, you would know that she hunts with young people. She actually brings young people into hunting, something we desperately need in this state, something that many of you are always talking about. Go look at what her actual record is. She's a youth leader at Real Life, which is a church youth group. She's volunteered at a DNR deer check station. Colleagues, quite frankly, most of you would be lucky to have a resume like this. Thank God for each of you that no one had to review your resume in this same way, whether you had to serve in this body. She is obviously qualified. There is zero question of it. And I dare anyone from the other side of the aisle to get up and actually make an argument that she's not. It is obvious from any reasonable indication that she is qualified. So next we would look at her positions, whether she's a vegan or that she is some kind of animal rights activist that would make you be opposed to her. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. She's not involved in politics at all. She hunts herself. There are images on her Instagram of her cleaning a deer. She is obviously not in that position. And if you look at the hunting organizations of the state, She volunteers with our local Pheasants Forever in my district. I've spoken with leaders there from my local Pheasant Forever chapter, and they say that she has a long history of working with her, and she is exactly what we need to get more people engaged in supporting our resources in hunting. So I went to a statewide organization. Amy Trotter, who's the executive director of the Michigan United Conservation Clubs. I'm going to read her statement on Ms. Mitterling. For a number of years, Mrs. Mitterling has been an active and engaged member of Michigan's conservation community in a volunteer, research, and professional capacity. From a personal perspective, she is a hunter, a landowner, a mother, and a wife. In a state faced with loss of hunting license over time, she is exactly the type of perspective we need on the NRC to reach, to bring into the outdoors and ensure we have a next generation of conservationists. I would like to underscore her commitment to science, data collection, and analysis. As someone with a graduate degree in fisheries and wildlife, she understands the basis of adaptive wildlife management and the collection of both biological and social data. Not only that, but she also has experience directly working with hunters and landowners in cooperatives and has successfully facilitated groups of disparate landowners in coming together to achieve common goals. Mrs. Mitterling also has a familiarity of the major challenge facing DNR in terms of wildlife disease, having personal experience working at a deer check station and volunteering in the wildlife disease lab. Throughout those engagements, I have found her to learn what is best for our natural resources by seeking to listen and understand. The work of the NRC has tremendous impact on Michigan, and I believe Anna has demonstrated her commitment to science-based natural resource management throughout her time as a student, educator, and conservation professional. I encourage you to carefully consider the appointment of Ms. Anna Mitterling to the NRC as she seeks to continue her service to our natural resources and their betterment for future generations. Again, no one could question her qualifications. No one could question that most hunting groups have come out to actually support this woman. It's not about her not supporting hunting. It's not about her record. So what is it about? No, colleagues, it's something much more sinister. The reality is that those in the majority are mad about a man, and so they're going to take it out on a qualified woman. What they're mad about is that George Hartwell, former mayor of Grand Rapids, who certainly is also qualified, by the way, was appointed. And a call came out yesterday to the governor's office from the majority's office that if they were willing to pull back on George, if they were willing to take George back, that they wouldn't do this to Anna today. That's the facts. A political game. That's what we're in the middle of right now. Everyone in this body knows it. By the way, my understanding is they didn't poll your members before they did that. They decided to use this young woman in a political game because they don't like that George Hartwell said something negative about guns at a city council meeting because he didn't want guns in a city council meeting. And they're getting pressure from the NRA. That's what this is about. And to be clear, I'm not so sure why that matters about hunting either, because unless there are deer literally in the city council chambers, I'm not sure what that has to do with hunting either. This is not about this woman's qualifications. This is nothing other than a political game that you're all being asked to be part of. And just imagine this. For the rest of her life, when her children go and Google her name when future employers go and Google her name, because that's where we live now, you should all know that. I've seen some interesting things under your Google too. For the rest of her life, it's going to say unqualified by the Michigan Senate. What a damn shame. How could you possibly, morally or ethically do that to someone when you know she's qualified? There's a zero question of whether she's qualified or not. Colleagues, I'm not asking you to be grand profiles in courage today, as the book was written about JFK. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you for a little bit of courage, an ounce of courage. I understand that it's not easy to stand up to your leadership. I get that. I don't envy your position there. That being said, it's exactly what you were elected to do. Our job, we all serve the people that sent us here. Your job is to do what you think is right, not be part of some political game. It has nothing to do with this woman. It is 100% unfair what is happening. It is unethical, it is immoral to put her in the middle of this political game. And I'm asking each of you, those of you that are on your phone, those of you that are not listening right this second, I'm asking each of you to show an ounce of courage in this body today and to reject this motion. I'm asking you to do your job, to consider the actual facts, to read the resume. And if you're not going to do that, at least recess for a moment and go talk to her. I'm more than happy to get you on the phone with her. I've asked several of your members, including your leadership, to do that today. Ask some questions to her. Find out your own opinion. Do not be led down this political game. Do not put consequences on a qualified woman because you have problems with a man. It makes no sense. I ask for you all to consider doing that. Apparently we have a session day tomorrow. We can come back tomorrow and vote no, because you were so afraid that one of us might make a motion. I am asking you to take a little bit of time and not do this right this second to this person that you have literally nothing but good things in the information in front of you about her. Not one negative thing. Colleagues, I thank you for your time. Again, I ask for a no vote on this explanation. I ask that all my words be printed in the journal so that the history of this day and this action will be reflected on the Senate record, the dark stain that it is. Thank you.